Welcome if you're new, welcome if you're not, welcome if this is the first or the 30th time that you are clicking on my podcast. My name is Shannon and this is another episode of Try Not to Need Me, another one that I happen to be filming. I'm not setting the precedent that this will be every episode, but quite a few people gave me some really good feedback and said that they really liked being able to see me at the same time that they heard me. So I thought I'd give it another go. Still sitting on the floor of my room, a mood. Still wearing black, another mood. Still wearing no makeup. I am one big mood. And I'm totally okay with that, except this time I don't have any back support, so I feel like I'm going to end up just doing some like light stretches throughout the episode. But anyway, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the last episode and enjoyed watching it, if you did in fact watch it, and enjoyed imagining me recording it, if you in fact simply just listened to it. But thank you regardless for clicking, for being here, for sending in your questions. I mean, to be fair, I had to pester quite a few of my friends to send me questions, but then they came through with the goods and have sent me some really great ones, because I sort of chucked it on my Instagram and was like, you know, if it's more of a topic and it's not specifically something you need advice on, or it's just something you want to know about me, so it's more of it's turning more into a random question, just talking podcast, but it'll always be there for advice if and when people send me things that they need advice on. So in the meantime, it'll just kind of be what it is. Apologize if the lighting is not great. It is nighttime, and then you can also kind of see the red light from my microphone on my face. So again, this is not a professional setup, nor will it ever be, I don't think. Anywho, hope you're well, hope life's treating you well, hope Mercury Retrograde is not doing the same things to you as it is to me, but we will talk about that later. Mercury Retrograde this time around, if any of you don't know what Mercury Retrograde is, because I mentioned it to quite a few people and they were like, I don't know what that is. So I thought I would just briefly, and I'm no expert, I'm still relatively new to the whole astrology world and astronomy world and the forces of the universe and the planets and all of those sorts of things. So my understanding, a very basic one at that, is Mercury retrograde is when Mercury in its orbit changes direction very slightly, and therefore its force with Earth changes as well. So it's either directionally or its orbit just changes very slightly for a period of time. So a massive thing that it affects is technology. And if any of you use Gmail in your everyday lives, like I do, you would know that Gmail went down for a whole day, Facebook went down, Instagram went down, allegedly WhatsApp also went down, and a lady at my work's computer decided to shit its pants, and yeah, things were not fun, particularly this week. I'm so sorry, I will try not to clear my throat that often. I know that it doesn't sound particularly pleasant. Particularly this week, I just feel like things have been really haywire, technology-wise, people's health-wise. We had this massive storm that has completely turned our outside deck roof into Swiss cheese. So it's just kind of been one of those weeks. So I'm hoping this week is a lot better. I'm like, Mercury, I felt your pain, I felt your wrath, I felt your forces. We're now going to start getting along. We're going to start embracing each other's change. We're going to start embracing the failure of things, because hoping that it'll teach us to, I don't know, put our time and effort into other things. I don't know, but I've decided that I need to work with Mercury, or it's going to keep working against me. I've decided that Mercury is a she. Don't know why, but I just have. If anyone has thoughts on that, hit me up. Let's chat. Anywho, I've got some good questions this week. I say this week, even though these aren't weekly, but this is possibly going to go up either 1 or 2 weeks after the one that I just filmed. So this week, have some cool questions to chat through. One of them is about Mercury retrograde, so we'll touch on that a little bit later. But without any more rambling, let's get on into it. So the first question is thoughts on festivals versus concerts versus sit down to watch musicians. I don't have loads of thoughts. I'm not particularly it's not like I'm a music snob. It's not like I go to loads of concerts or loads of festivals or anything like that. I went to my first festival this year. I went to FOMO Fest at Parramatta Park in January, which I had a great time at, barring the fact that it was like 3 million degrees. And there were like this black pattern flooring near like the main stage, which was like radiating heat. Like me and my friends literally left wet. Like we were that sweaty. Everyone was that sweaty. It was quite disgusting actually. But I don't have like massive thoughts on this. I think every single one of the concerts I've been to, bar one, I've sat down at. So, and this is not like, you know, real hardcore music. This is like Ariana Grande, Little Mix, Sam Smith, Ed Sheeran, Miley Cyrus. Like I've sat down at all of those concerts. The only one that I didn't sit down at was Katy Perry. We're in like the mosh pit and it was not particularly sold out. So it was actually amazing, like to be that close to her and to kind of like embrace the show in sort of like its full entirety up close. Whereas I'm so used to sitting in like the nosebleed seats that you pay like the minimum amount of money for, that if it was ever an artist I was super into, I would now go general admission and go mosh pit, because I feel like even though you have to stand the whole time, you're just so much more into it and you're so much more like intimate with the performer. So yeah, and then tons of festivals. So at FOMO we like danced when it was someone we were into, we went and sat on the hill when it was someone we weren't, or we were just way too hot to function. And then I'm going to Tomorrowland in July. From never going to a festival to going to one to going to the festival. I'm going to Tomorrowland in July, and that's going to be madness, but you like are constantly in a mosh pit constantly for 4 days. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see how I can, if I can hang with the what are they, like prime festival goers, like people who go to festivals all the time. We'll see if I can hang with them. And then in terms of like festivals versus concerts, I think they're totally different things. I love a concert because especially like I'll only ever go to a concert if it's someone that I know most of their discography and I really appreciate their talent and their music and I know that they can sing well live. But if it was like a festival where I only knew one or two people, which was how FOMO was, like Nicki Minaj was the headliner, which is why I went, which was right at the end. But then I ended up getting into a few of the other artists that were there because I knew that I was going to go. So I was like, well, I want to appreciate like their art and their music. So like Loud Luxury played there and they're playing at Tomorrowland. They have one song, Body, which has like made this huge wave in the music industry at the moment. It's in all the top 40 charts, even though it's from like 2017, but it's a quality song. And then like Mira Musa, who I got into a few of their songs, and Sophie was meant to play and she pulled out, so I was a bit annoyed because I quite like a few of her songs. So I think it's like they're totally different experiences. I don't necessarily prefer one to the other. I think it depends on who you go with, and I think it depends on who's playing and like how much you like them. So yeah, that's my take on that. What are your top tips for self-care? I had a self-care day today. I painted my nails, I painted my toenails, I lit some candles, I caught up on so many like YouTube videos that I keep adding to my watch later playlist and never actually watching. I went and like dug through my sister's makeup collection and then cleaned my own out. I did my laundry, I put it all away. I like had a nice shower, shaved my legs. Like they're the kind of things that I think of as self-care is taking a day to yourself. If that then involves seeing other people, then that's kind of because you've chosen to, but it's taking a day for yourself and doing the things that make you feel better and make you feel like more in control of yourself and like you are the best version of yourself. Like to me, that's what it is. So it's usually like a few vain things like painting my nails or doing a face mask or literally just bumming in my bed all day and watching YouTube videos or Netflix. Like to me, that's what it is in its kind of entire essence, is doing things like that are making you a better person kind of thing, or like the best version of yourself and making you feel the best version of yourself. So my top tips is literally finding the things that make you feel like the best version of yourself and doing them and being completely unapologetic. If that means you don't socialize or you turn your phone off for the day or you unplug from all social media because you don't want to be wrapped up in that for the day, like it can amalgamate into so many different like things, and it's totally different for every person, that my tip would just be to find things that make you happy and make you feel your best. Even if that involves not looking your best on that day, like not wearing any makeup or not doing your hair, like anything like that. So they're kind of like my top tips for self-care. The next one is describe yourself in 5 words. Okay. I can think of so many words to describe myself. One of the main ones that I would use to describe myself would be outspoken. I'm a very outspoken person. I like the sound of my own voice. If I have an opinion, I'm probably going to tell you what it is, regardless of if you ask for it or not. And to a point, like I know when like is not a time to voice my opinion. Like if 2 people are having an argument and I'm like, wow, this is really dumb. I have a point of view on this, but it's not going to be productive for me to like involve myself in this conversation, then I'm obviously not going to. But if I'm talking to a friend about something and they're sort of like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't want to say, like that's when I would kind of be like, well, here's what I think, like take it or leave it, but here's my thought. This is what I would do, or this is how I feel about what you've just told me, or whatever. So outspoken is a big one. And then I'm a very passionate person. I get very passionate about what I believe in. I get very passionate about what I enjoy doing. I get very passionate about like the care and like friendships and relationships that I have in my life. I'm very passionate about the things I love, like so passionate about musical theatre and you know, music that I love. And I'm so passionate about like media and communication, which is why I do these podcasts and I love doing them. And, you know, as much as I sometimes do lack the motivation to make the time, I always get back to it eventually. I'm passionate about like my family and making sure they're okay and they're cared for, and my friends and making sure that I'm being a good friend to them. Like I'm a very passionate person about so many things. Outspoken, passionate. I would say I'm a relatively helpful person. Like the people at work make jokes that I know everything, and I don't know everything, but I know a really, like quite a large selection of random things that you'd never think you need until someone suddenly asks for it. Like I can't remember what we were talking about the other day at work, but then I was sort of like, oh, something, and they were like, how do you know these things? I'm like, I don't know, I just do. But I like helping people, I really do. I like helping friends with what they need. I like doing things to be helpful at work. Like I just like I get great joy out of helping other people. So that's why I constantly like try to be helpful and try to help others help themselves or do what they need to do, or whatever that looks like is, you know, I just like being helpful and playing like a helper role in people's lives. So what have I said? Outspoken, passionate, helpful. I am a very loyal person. I'm very, very loyal to the people I care about. Like it kind of like if I sort of decide that you're a good person and a good friend, I'm gonna like keep you on a very tight leash and be like, you are never leaving me. So you're stuck with me now and you've just got to put up with me, basically. But I'm very loyal to like my friends and always trying to do right by them, and my family as well, and like knowing or like making sure that I am constantly trying to be the best version of myself for them and all those kinds of things. I'm a very loyal person. So that's 4. So I need one more to describe myself. Why is this so hard to do? I think I'm funny. I that sounds kind of up myself, but I do. I think I'm a funny person. I think, you know, I thrive on making other people laugh, whether that's just being completely self-deprecating, where it's making stupid jokes, whether it's physically doing something stupid to make them laugh. Like I like making people laugh, and I think I think I'm funny. I do. I think I'm a funny person. Read that how you will, but there you go. my 5 words to describe myself. And coming on to the last question. Wow, this was quite a swift episode. But I don't want all of them to be 30 minutes long because I know that that's quite a commitment. So 20 is probably a good length. Last question is, what is your star sign, and do you believe in Mercury retrograde and how it affects people? I'm an Aquarius, but I'm technically kind of a cusp of the Aquarius, an Aquarius and a Pisces, because I'm born on the 16th and the end is the 18th. So it depends on how you define a cusp, but I relate more to the cusp of that than I do to my actual star sign, because Aquarians are often very like a little bit uptight, a little bit like don't like to go with the ebbs and the flows of life. Like there's parts of me that are definitely like that. Like I do love a bit of structure and I do love knowing what's going on. But then like I can kind of like change if that's kind of what's going to be like better. So there's parts of like Aquarius personalities that I do relate to, but then I read some things and I'm like, that's totally not me. But then I don't feel like I'm a Pisces either. So cusps have sort of their own like definition of who they are. And there is this whole big like, you are not just an Aquarius. You have a star sign and a sun sign. A sun sign and a moon sign, and then you've got signs in every, like you have houses of each planet in every sign, which means totally different things, and it's completely based on where you were born, what time you were born, and what year you were born. So you could be a Pisces born in, February of 1997, or you could be a Pisces born in 1984 at 7 p.m. instead of 7 a.m. And that completely, you have a birth chart, which is where all of the moons and all of the planets' alignments were on the time and day you were born, in what year and where. So if you care more about astronomy or astrology, if you are like kind of into it but not really sure and you're interested in learning more, look up birth charts and put like put your date and time and place of birth. It's just like the city you were born in, and it will give you a much more in-depth like overview of your sign as a personality and the traits you have, and it's a little bit less broad than usual star signs and horoscopes are. So if you are interested in that, I will leave a link down below in the description of this episode or the description box of this video to where I recently did my birth chart and learned a bit more about my sign. And if you're interested in doing that, go do it because it's actually really interesting. But so I'm an Aquarian Piscean cusp, which means quite a lot. And like I feel more that I fit in the cusp personality. And in terms of Mercury retrograde, yes, I have always been very aware of it. There are a few people I follow on social media who are very like in tune with the planets and those sorts of things. And I know that this is not everyone's cup of tea. So if you could not care less about the planets and star signs and you have no interest in it, then thank you for watching and see you later. But if you do care, stick around. Or just like hearing me talk, hi, welcome. So Mercury retrograde, I've always been aware of it and I always hear when it happens, and there'll be like one or two little things that'll happen that I'm like, oh, it could be Mercury retrograde, but like could also just be life. But this one, which is from the 2nd to the 28th of March this year, has hit me like a ton of bricks. It is completely thrown off my aura. Things have just been mental. But then also like things with people's health and things with technology and like the storm that happened, and like there's just been so many things in this last it's only the 17th, so I have another week and a half of this. But there have been so many things in the last fortnight that have just, it's almost like too much to be a coincidence. And this is my belief, and not everyone has this belief, but to me, like this Mercury retrograde I have felt so much different now than I have. And I was talking to my friend about, is it because I'm more aware of it? But I'm like, I'm no more or less aware of it than I always have been. And it was sort of like these things kept going wrong, and it was like, oh my God, Mercury's in retrograde. This could definitely be a part of the forces of this planet. And that's, my belief and what I think, what I'm going to continue blaming my problems on for the next week and a half. But as it's sort of one of those things where it's like, if you embrace it, it'll be a lot more tolerable. If you continue to fight it, it's going to keep happening. It's like the power of attraction. It's like manifestation. You have to manifest the positivity that you want in your life. So I'm going to be like, right, Mercury's in retrograde for another week and a half. I can't do anything about that. But what I'm going to do is when it keeps throwing things at me is I'm going to embrace them as learning opportunities and continue moving forward until I'm out of Mercury retrograde, and then everything should be fine and rosy. But obviously not everything, because life is still going to continue to throw curveballs and like test you constantly. But in terms of like a general sense of the word, then it's sort of like I'll have less of a reason to like continue letting things upset me, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword of like, you're aware of it, therefore you're letting these things into your life, or you're aware of it and you're going to continue pushing past it and trying to like not let it affect you so much. I don't know, but I do believe in it, and I do feel like this one in particular has been awful, and I'm very keen for the 28th of March when it goes away. But yeah, so I will leave the link down below to the birth chart if you're interested in looking more into it. And let's all get through this Mercury retrograde together, because we're all in this together. And we reach, we can shine, we can fly, we can make it. All those fun things from High School Musical. Anywho, that's it. I'm done. All right, Shannon. Thank you very much for listening and watching again. As I said, I'm not promising that every episode is going to be filmed, but if I feel like filming it, I shall film it. But I now have like a few of my friends who are like, oh my God, we would love to be filmed with you. And I feel like definitely the vibe between multiple people is going to be so much more interesting than just me sitting on the floor of my room talking to a camera and a microphone. Yeah, and I do apologize as well if the audio was slightly off on the last one, very slightly. I realized that was happening, and so I've kind of figured out a trick to fix it, but it's still a bit of an edit, so it's a bit more time consuming, which is what I was always trying to avoid. But now I'm just gonna have to embrace that, I think. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for, sitting in a different angle of my room. Shall I just slowly do a 360 and you can see every part of my bedroom? That's kind of it, really. Again, thanks for being here. Please send me questions. I will link both the ways you can send questions down below. Please do click out now, see you later, go send me a question. Please, please, please. But yeah, as always, I'm here if you need me, but try not to need me. Bye.